Hey there, welcome to another Showgirl story time. I'd like to talk about nudes. Not art nudes. The nudes were two lines of girls in Jubilee, and when I say nude, they were not naked on stage. They still wore tights and G-strings, but they were actually just topless dancers. And they actually didn't dance a whole lot. They did dance. We all had to have classic training in order to become a Las Vegas showgirl. But the nudes were basically what I like to call the parade floats of the show. And they were just walking art. And they would wear the big hats like the behemoth hair. It's actually quite small compared to some of the hats that were in Jubilee. They would wear the big hats and the big backpacks that sit on the shoulders, and they span, sometimes, tall or wide. And they would parade around the stage with these gorgeous costumes on. So the nudes, I was in both the tall nude and the short nude line during my time at Jubilee. And they were just required to be beautiful and dance. So I first became a tall nude when I think it was 3 months into my very first contract. One of the dancers just stopped showing up to work. She broke her contract and they needed somebody fast to fill in the nude line. And so they asked me. I had already done one understudy spot and one swing nude spot that they allowed me to do just to kind of get me used to the idea of being a topless dancer. I was a little frightened at first, but then with all the jewels and all the things you're wearing, you just don't even notice. It's really interesting. When I forgot a bracelet, then I felt naked, but otherwise I never felt naked. So I was a tall nude first, and the tall nudes were like the tall bluebells, 5'10" to 6 foot plus. One of my really good friends was 6'1". The tallest girl in the show as a tall nude when I was there was 6'3", and that was without high heels on. She was just 6'3", head to toe. So, or head to heel, I guess. So I was a tall nude, and they did a couple of different numbers. They had a couple of different costumes than the short nudes, but again, they were topless. They were still topless. We were the first boobs that you saw when the curtains came up, actually, were the tall nudes. And then you saw everybody else. But what else can I say about nudes? It was very important to Don Arden when he created his show not to make it vulgar. And so there was a very specific walk, and they call it, back in the day, called it the Don Arden walk. I now call it the Jubilee walk because it's the only walk I know, and I learned it well in Jubilee. But when you are a nude or a topless dancer, you had to make sure that you glided across the stage, and you had to make it look effortless while you're wearing 25 pounds of hat, backpack, and jewelry, and still look elegant and beautiful. Also, not allowing your boobs to jiggle. So it was a really interesting task to be a nude. And it was all about being glamorous and beautiful, and it just became easy. Once you put all of these jewels on, your movements it changes you. There's a transformation that takes place in it, and Don Arden understood this, and he knew it, and it was expected of all the nudes. Just very graceful and classic and ladylike, even though our nipples were out. So that's pretty much all about being the nudes. We were just topless dancers, and it was not about sex. There were too many boobs on stage for it to be about sex. It was about appreciating the female form in a non-vulgar way, which I think is different than what burlesque is doing, because burlesque is to entice. Burlesque is to elicit lust. Showgirls, that was not what being a showgirl was about, at least in Jubilee. So after about 9 months of being a tall nude, they had the auditions and decided to move me into the short nude line because there were actually taller girls that they would have preferred be a tall nude instead of short nudes. So I got to move into the short nude line and had to learn a whole another bunch of acts. I think the only ones I didn't have to learn were Tiller, Top Hat, and Red Fans. I just learned a new spot, I think, in Red Fans. Oh, and Finale. Finale, I stayed in my red costume for, I believe, one contract. And then I changed costumes, which I'll tell about later. Let's see. Tall nude, moved into the short nude line. Yeah, so I had to learn all new Titanic numbers and all new Samson numbers because they're different. But with all of the nudes, shorts and tall nudes, they did different acts. So I much preferred the short nude line. I felt like I belonged because I wasn't the shortest girl in the room, but I also wasn't the tallest girl in the room either. We were all kind of about the same, 5'8" to 5'10"-ish. So 2 inches can be a big deal, depending. But yeah, we were all about 5'9" in that room. I remained a short nude until I was promoted to principal, and I will be sharing the inner workings of the principal line in another video. So I hope that you enjoyed this little video about nudes, not photos, but actual topless dancers, topless showgirls in Jubilee. If you haven't heard I have started a podcast. It's called Showgirl's Life, and I am interviewing all of the former showgirls in Las Vegas. So check it out. You can go to showgirls.live/podcast to find the latest episode, and then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. I'll see you around. Bye.